water composition and everything. So yeah, obesity-related cardiovascular diseases have tripled between 1999 and 2020, according to the American Heart Association. And when I was doing my research, we figured out that it was because of the Western diet. And the Western diet is a diet which is rich in refined grains, rich in processed foods like chips, red meats, which on the counterpart, we don't eat enough grains, like full grains. We don't eat enough fruits and veggies, which can lead to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is just when free radicals outweigh the antioxidant system in your body. So that's when things like kale, blueberries, chocolate, they're rich in antioxidants and they can help combat that and neutralize the effects of the high-fat diet. And the average mortality rate from 2024 to 2022 due to cardiovascular diseases per 1,000. California is up there, Texas is over there, Florida is high, and New York is high in itself. So we wanted to look at DASH diet, for example, is a cardioprotective diet. There's Mediterranean diet, but a DASH diet, it just stands for dietary apprehension to stop hypertension. And it's rich in fruits, veggies, whole grains. So the exact opposite of the Western diet. It's high in fat-free and low-fat dietary, plant-based, lean, animal-based protein, and unsaturated fats. So the DASH diet is proven to help improve vascular function, reduce oxidative stress, inflammation, and regulate blood pressure. Whole blueberries, for example, organic blueberries to be exact, there's more natural than non-organic, but it's similar in the effects against oxidative stress, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases have been shown to improve blood pressure in short and long-term randomized controlled trials. So yeah, so we wanted to look at blueberries specifically. And during our research, blueberries have been shown to regulate blood pressure, reduce cardiac fibrosis, cardiac hypertrophy, and oxidative stress. And we want to look at exactly cardiac hypertrophy because cardiac hypertrophy is when your left heart muscle starts pumping more and more blood due to thinner. Since if you have high blood pressure, it means that your veins, and when they're pumping blood, is shorter, so it has to pump with higher pressure. So that means your heart is starts doing more work, and that leads to cardiac hypertrophy, where your left side of your heart is stronger than your right side. And the high concentration of blueberries of anthocyanins is linked to protective effects against chronic diseases. And blueberries is rich in phytochemicals, is rich in anthocyanins. And anthocyanins is what gives that reddish to dark purple color of blueberries. And this is shown to improve glucose regulation, polyphenols and other phytochemicals which enhance insulin sensitivity, and then potential weight stabilization, because blueberries have that anti-inflammatory properties. It curbs inflammation and improves metabolism. And since I was in Tuskegee, I wanted to look at organic farms, especially for blueberries, and there was one, but due to my research, we found out that there's more and more blueberry farms that are coming through, just because Alabama's soil is so rich, in which it helps with, if you grow blueberries, it will 9 times out of 10 you have a good farm. And our hypothesis was blueberry supplementation is expected to produce dose-dependent protective effects against cardiovascular remodeling and dysfunction in high-fat diet-induced obesity by decreasing blood pressure, body weight, and feed intake. Our 3 aims was to evaluate the dose-dependent effects of blueberry supplementation on blood pressure, body weight, and feed intake. So we use our mouse model, called mus musculus. C57BL6. We use that exact strain because the generic variation between each mice is like slim to none. So that unknown variable that could affect our results and our data is canceled out. And we got the male at the age 5 weeks. And the first 2 weeks, we let them acclimatize to their new environment. And then this right here is our the feed that we gave them. And we had, I think, 43 mice. We have 43 mice, and we had 8 of them in the control, and then the other ones, we had them in the high-fat diet. So the 8, we fed this chow right here, which is just a composition of, I would say, what humans usually eat, 16% fat, 21% 21% protein and 63% carbs. And this is the one we fed the high fat diet mice, in which the main difference is that 37% kilocalories of fat. And then after weeks 13, that's when we started feeding the control group, not the control group, the research group, the diet all the way on the right, which the main difference between that and the middle is just now that we have the blueberries in the standard chow. And during the first week, we took the body weight feed intake, and we just use a beaker, the scale, and the container to measure each one. And we'll measure weekly. Every Monday, we'll go to the lab and measure it. And it took us, we measured it for 12 weeks. And then the 13th week, that's when we took the fasted glucose, usually doing the tail cuff method, tail vein cuff method, in which we will put the mouse in a restrainer, and then we'll get a scalpel and cut the tail vein, in which we will use a glucometer to measure the amount of glucose in the blood. And that's when we did that for the 13th week. And we did that for the 13th week. And then every week after, so that our time scale was the first 12 weeks, we'd use the standard chow and then the high fat diet, and then just take the measurements weekly. 13th week, that's when we started introducing the blueberry added chow to the research group. And then weeks 13 to 20 is they'll just stay on that diet the whole time, and then we can compare it to the standard group, to the what's it called, the control group. And then weeks 20 to 21, that's when we gave it to our professors, and they would dissect the mice and see really what happened to the heart, to the veins, and so forth. So in this data right here, this is the weight increase over time between the control group and the high fat diet group. The blue is a control group, so it was standardly 32, 33. The highest reach was 36. And as you can see, the high fat group, they were eating a lot. They were eating a lot, so the weight was high. And they started at 41, and the highest they got to is 48.5. And in this graph right here, we have the weekly feed intake. The standard group, 20, the control group, 28, 29, highest was 37, because we figured out that they got used to the standard, the standard chow. So they just started consuming it more and more. And for the high fat group, it started high, 36, 37, because I'm sure they loved that high fat diet. So they were eating it happy and joyous. But then week 13, that's when we started changing it to, like I say, week 13, that's when we added the blueberries to the diet. And as you can see, there's a sharp decline from 33 to 29. And we figured out that they're not used to that blueberry in the feed. So they started retaliating a little bit. But then I had left week 13, but Jossie had sent me the information about the rest of the research, and they started increasing back to 33, and the highest was like still about 33.8 after week 16. And that week 13, that's when we took the fasting glucose levels via the tail cuff vein method. And the control group had 147.8 milligrams per deciliter. And the high fat group had 242.2 milligrams per deciliter in the blood of the glucose composition. So in conclusion, the mice did increase, and the high fat diet that we gave them showed the significant weight gain that we had previously hypothesized would happen. And then they had elevated glucose levels when we took the 13th week. We took the tail vein blood. It suggests that they impaired glucose metabolism and they created insulin resistance. And then the high feed intake, the consistently high calorie intake may have contributed to weight gain and metabolic dysregulation. And we all figured out that it did increase to the weight gain, but we couldn't see about the metabolic dysregulation until week 20, in which they dissected the mice, and it showed that their heart was bigger and their veins were they had high blood pressure. So the half-fat diet resulted in significant weight gain, elevated glucose levels. This resulted in early signs of metabolic syndrome. Finding highlights the impact of poor diet and cardiometabolic health, and dietary interventions such as blueberry supplementation may help reduce this risk. So at the end of the trials, when they cut the mice and measured everything, they showed that there is a difference in the heart muscles, for example, in the high-fat diet that we fed the blueberries, and then the high-fat diet that we didn't. And then the control group, it showed us some, we couldn't see a significant change, but our research showed that there is a change, that the blueberries did have a positive impact in their health, and that the weight stabilization in the blueberry diet, it was lowered by, I think, it was about 0.5. So we didn't measure it one by one, but we measured it by group. So the same four that were in, let's say, and the same four that were in the first group that had the high fat diet, it's the same four that through the whole thing. So we measured the what is it called? The average. We used the average, and it showed that there was a significant change, insignificant change. I apologize, but it showed that it did help. So for further research, we need to test the effectiveness of these interventions. We're looking to explore more extended intervention periods, maybe 6 months to like a year, in which you can really see the effects of the high fat diet and the effects of the blueberries, and hopefully we could do optimal dosing, in which we increase it or decrease it, or have a wider span in which we see really what happened. And hopefully one day we can do human clinical trials in which we actually see, in comparison to the rat model, to the mouse model, what the effects are to the humans, to us humans. And this is the research group I was with. We all did different researches, but we all got to know each other. The lady all the way on the right over there, that's Josie, who was helping me during the whole process. And I want to acknowledge USDA, NIFA, and Tuskegee University for the help. And this is the references. And thank you if you have any questions.